Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crabcake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast, or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. On a dark London street, someone lurks in the shadows, even becomes a shadow. The shadow judges, plots, and waits until prey is in sight, and then. Anna Pearson, a 28-year-old American punk rocker turned career woman, has always been drawn to scary things, and even scarier men. New to London, she attends a ghost tour where she meets Tom Hall, the attractive, enigmatic tour guide. During this tour, Anna experiences a sudden, unexplained pain that surges through her body, and then it vanishes in an instant. Tom, intrigued by Anna, asks her to tea. These events set in motion a journey through Tom's dark past, Anna's odd premonitions, and a media frenzy regarding a rash of vigilantism, hate crimes plaguing the streets of London. Although a dark and unnerving mystery with a violent edge at its core, Nightwalker tells the tale of two people who face extraordinary circumstances where passion, doubt, and fate drive their unrelenting love. And we are here today with Janice Coleman, who is the author of this, and surprisingly, I don't know whether it's surprising anymore, but an Annapolis resident. You live right down here in Annapolis. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
This is an interesting book. It's I've not read it yet, but it sounds very interesting. Nightwalker, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the book. I understand it's your first book.
It is.
That you've written, and they say that everybody has a book in them. Is that true?
Maybe.
You just got to find out when it comes out, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think when the creativity hits you.
Well, it's what I'd like to sort of. I'm always fascinated by people that come up with these ideas and execute them.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes you get up and you wake up in the morning and you go, oh, no, that's just really stupid. What was I thinking? It was a bad night of drinking or whatever it may be.
Right.
And other people really execute on them. And I mean, I'm looking at the book that you have here, and it's a sizable book. It's a thriller. It's a paranormal thriller, I guess.
Yes, that's what you call it, I would say.
The genre that they will do.
There's a lot of genres in it, but yes.
Where did this come about? You are not an author by trade.
No.
And how did this all come about for you?
Well, when I was younger, I did write a lot, mainly short stories, and I really enjoyed it. And later on, I started having other interests. Went to college. Writing wasn't my thing necessarily, although I did a lot of writing in college just because of research papers and things like that. And I got away from it. And then it's probably been about 5 years now, I was at a ghost tour in Ellicott City with my husband and my daughter, and I was looking up at one of the haunted houses and thought to myself, I have not read a book about a ghost tour guide. And that's where it sparked. So that's where the idea came from.
And how long ago was that?
I think about 4 or 5 years ago. It's hard to pinpoint, but around there.
Quickly did you start writing it?
I started pretty quickly.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah. The idea was in my head. I did not know where it was going, though. And as I started to write, the characters started to develop. As I started to write, the paragraphs started to develop, and then the chapters started to develop. I tried to do an outline, and it didn't really work for me. But just the process of writing, it was just so interesting where I didn't have an idea necessarily, but while I was typing a sentence, like, oh, I could do this, this will work, So, and of course I had to go back and read it over and edit it many, many times. But just that writing process where that creativity just came out while I was writing was really interesting.
Well, we spoke with the author in Davidsonville named Jeff Gunhus, who he said that his process is that he gets up every morning, and he's got like 16 books to his name at this point, and he's an accidental author, to be honest with you. But he's got 16 books. He says, I get up every morning. I'm an early riser, and I write from 5 to 7. That's my thing. And sometimes I write a lot. Sometimes I write a little. And he says that's what keeps him going. This is my time. And the other days when we can't do that. I got to take the kids to school, or
Right.
something's going on. But generally, that's my writing time is before everybody gets up and everything else. How did you? I mean, was this done? Obviously not in one sitting, but
No.
was this written over a period of weeks, months, years?
Years.
Okay.
It took years. I have a full-time job. I have a couple of part-time jobs. I have a husband. I have a daughter. She's in college now, but at the time she was not. So I was quite busy. But my favorite time to write was when everybody was asleep, and I could just sit up in bed with my laptop, with my earphones on, listening to music, and that's when I would write. Sometimes I would write when I had an idea that I just had to get out. So I would just make sure I made the time that day to get that idea on paper.
You say you listen to music. I mean, is that how you get into your zone?
Yes, it's always been. I love music. I'm kind of a music snob. I mean, there's certain genres I love, certain genres I do not love.
Okay, all right. Which genres do we love and which do we hate?
Love prog rock, love punk rock. I do not like pop rock. I do not like country.
How do you feel about like classical?
Not
No?
my I
Okay.
respect it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, fantastic.
But
you
you're
know,
not buying the latest
No.
Beethoven's latest CD.
No. So, but it's interesting as in the book, the main character, Anna, a lot of people said, oh, she's you. She's really not me. She's not me in personality. There's a lot of things in there that I would never do. But in terms of her interests, we share a lot of. And same with Tom, the other main character, who is the ghost tour guide. He has some music genres that he likes that I like too.
Well, I imagine as you develop any kind of a fictional character, I mean, it's got to be a little bit easier to develop it off of somebody you know.
Of course,
whether it's your daughter or your husband or yourself or your dog. I don't. It's the scene is London.
Yes,
and the impetus is Ellicott City.
Yes.
So, how do we jump across the pond to do this?
Well, it was only Ellicott City because we go on ghost tours all the time. So when Halloween comes around, Halloween is just
all right. We're gonna
my
stop
favorite
here
time.
real quick. You
Yes.
do ghost tours all the time. Where
Yes.
are your best ghost tours that you've been?
Key West,
Okay.
Annapolis, probably the watermark one.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been on the other one, which is good too.
Right.
But I'd say Key West was probably the best.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
amazing. So,
Okay.
but the Annapolis ones are great too.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So we're in Ellicott City,
Yes.
and the ghost tour. So how did we get over into London? Why not Ellicott City?
Well-
or Annapolis or Key West?
I love British television, okay, and British actors. So that's kind of why I wanted to do it in London, just because that's what I like. So I did a lot of research. I'm going to put that in quotes because I had never been to London. Okay, so I did research on some books, travel guides, things like that. So I wrote the book just with that research. And my husband read it. He's like, yeah, it's good, but it really needs to be embellished. I've always wanted to go to London anyway, so this was a good excuse. So we all went to London, my family and I was able to walk around, really feel the city, and I think I've embellished every paragraph in the book after being in London. It's just, there's no comparison from just reading about a place and being engrossed
And walking
in it.
on the streets
it
and the same streets.
Yeah, little details, but even big details, even the feel of it. So
How long were you in London?
2 weeks.
Okay, so you had some good time to be able to get out there and really get into
I
it.
loved it. I mean, it did not disappoint. It is my favorite city I've ever been to.
Now you've is this considered a self-published book or?
Well,
is it-
yes and no.
Or, okay, how did the whole publishing thing end up? I mean, is that a big hurdle for a first-time author? I've got to imagine it's
yes.
just sort of like a musician. Hey, I've got a great song.
Right.
And, the record labels are like, yeah, okay, that's nice.
Exactly, yeah. So I tried to get an agent. Generally got back stock.
We'll call us.
Stock
Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah, kind of like this is always subjective, and don't give up. Things
Right.
like that. And finally, I contacted one in London, who actually gave me some good advice. He says that there are so many authors out there and so many submissions that breaking in is super hard. And even if you do break in, the publisher has to want you. So an agent might want you, but if the publisher says this is not the right time, they're not going to publish you.
Right.
So I went ahead and I did the self-published route because it's quite easy. You go through there's a few out there. I went through the Amazon one, KDP Publishing.
Okay.
And they print on demand, so you don't have to buy
Inventory,
5,000 books
right.
in inventory and hope that they sell. You buy what you want, like for book signings and things like that. And then they sell it and you get some royalties. It's not a huge money maker or anything like that, but it's there. However, just recently, I've signed with Deloitte Publishing, which is a new publishing company, and we are relaunching the book. Actually, it's live right now. It's the same book. We've changed the cover. We've changed just a couple of things on the interior cover. Other than that, it's the same book. But we're relaunching it, and Serena Lee is her name. She's going to be doing a lot of the promotion for the book. So it was self-published. Now it's through a very small publishing company.
Okay,
so,
and you can get this on Amazon. Obviously, you can look up Nightwalker, and that will pop.
Put my name on there too, Nightwalker, and then you can even just type Janice, and it'll come up. Yeah, because there's a couple of titles out there, Nightwalker, not the same thing.
Available anywhere local stores?
Yeah. Old Fox Books.
They're great.
Yeah. In Annapolis, they have it. Soundgarden in Baltimore, the record store, they have it. Red Emma's in Baltimore has it.
Probably a couple others.
Yeah. I think there's one or two others. I just can't think of them right now.
And it's a perfect thriller as we come into the Halloween season.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
100%.
And what is a little snippet in there that might surprise? Is there anything in there that might surprise the reader? A little twist that's without giving away the farm.
Can't really say that, but I can say there are a lot of twists, and I can say that the people that I've gotten feedback from who've read it did not expect the ending. So
that's the best.
Did not. Yeah,
that's the best kind
did
of.
Not guess what the deal was. So.
When you come out of a movie and you're like, "Oh, didn't see that coming,"
yes.
or "What the hell just happened?" And
yep.
oh, okay, this makes sense.
And when you're writing it, you don't know if that's going to be the case. You don't know, is this too obvious? It's very difficult because you're engrossed in it, and just kind of having that objective view of it is really difficult. So it was really refreshing to have the people who came up to me and said, yeah, I did not expect that. I did not guess that.
Yeah, Janice, so I want to step back a little bit. I mean, when you started to write this, was the end in sight?
No. That's what I was saying before. It's like the book kind of just wrote itself as I was coming through. Once again, going back and editing it many times to make sure everything fit and made sense and reorganized some things. But no, I did not have any idea. So it was kind of a surprise to me too.
That's so you had no idea. There was no okay, this is this tour guide and this woman, this love interest are going to get into it. There's going to be some deep, dark secrets in this and that. They're going to live happily ever after. I mean, that was never...
Maybe a little bit of that, but a lot of the twists, no. But it's certainly in the beginning. I mean, I knew that there was going to be a ghost tour guide. I knew that there was going to be a young woman she's an American, but she moved to London. And I knew that they were going to have a relationship. And I knew that there was going to be a lot of paranormal things surrounding them, and how they get through. So it's a very character-driven book, actually. I've read a lot of. I'm a big fan of this genre, but I've read a lot of thrillers where the characters just weren't developed. You couldn't relate to any of the characters, and I don't really like those kind of books as much. So I tried to write this with what I like, and that's good character development, but also a plot.
Well, I think it's critical that you do with any job or career, or I would imagine in writing a book or writing a song or a movie or anything, you've got to write the characters that you like.
Yes.
And I mean, they don't have to be good characters. As far as moral and upstanding and whatnot, but they've got to be characters that you like that you can get into. And I mean,
Yes.
you've got to, that's how you get into their head or they get into your head one way or the other and figure it out. And as you were going along, though, but I mean, was that, you're just saying, ooh, there could be a twist here. Let's go down this road and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And then maybe it goes someplace and we get back onto the main road and sometimes it's a dead end and you're like, yeah, okay, well, we'll scrap it.
Exactly. You just said it in a nutshell. That's pretty much how I did it. So.
Help from the family?
Oh yeah, definitely. My husband is an editor by trade anyway, so he helped me edit it. He also has a master's degree in publication design, so he helped me with the first cover. And then my daughter, she's very intelligent and just able to be very objective, and she would say things like, Anna wouldn't say that. Like, think about it. Yeah, you're probably right. So I have a tendency to be a little stubborn, so my immediate reaction is, what? No. But then think about it for a second and say, okay, maybe you're right. But sometimes I disagreed.
Do you not understand I'm your mother?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did that with my husband too, so that's So yeah, definitely help from my family and a few friends of mine. My sister-in-law read it as well. So yeah, I definitely had help from.
And this is as you were going along.
As I was going along, and the finals, of course, too. So.
Yeah, of course, you want to get the affirmation from those closest to you. That's for sure. Now, throughout the whole process, from the thought, the travel to London, the gelling of the book and everything else, the writing and everything else, the publication, what was the most challenging for you? I mean, you've said the book pretty much wrote itself. Okay,
yes.
So I just picture you sitting in front of a computer with your fingers not moving and this, some paranormal ghost typing its own book or something like that. But
not quite like that.
Right.
Sure.
But, well, no, I mean, it was. I get it. It was easy. It came to you, and it was fairly. The plot came to you.
It did. I wouldn't say it was easy though, because I mean, definitely hit some pitfalls, and I'd sit back and I'd think, wait, that's not going to work because this happened. So I'd have to really think about it, and sometimes I'd get bogged down in that. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it was hard to write. So I certainly had writer's block through this. I mean, it took me 3-4 years to write.
Right.
So, I mean, part of it was time, but also part of it was, okay, where am I going with this?
And was this a consistent writing project for 3 or 4 years? Or was it, I mean, for the most part, I mean, obviously I'm not saying every single day, but I mean, there wasn't like, okay, I've written this and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Put it down, then come back 8 months later and go, okay, maybe I'll write a little bit more.
I wouldn't say it was 8 months ever, but relatively consistent, but sometimes I'd go in spurts. Sometimes I would take a break for a few weeks and then come back to it and just write every day.
Welcome to the world of writer's block.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was the most difficult thing, the most challenging thing in the whole process? Was it finalizing the final edits? Was it the creation, or nothing really? It was all difficult, or?
I'd have to think about that. I think just making sure that the twists made sense and having to go back. Also, timeline. So many little things where you have to go back and look and say, okay, what day was this? Did I have this correct later on? Little things like their code is on, and then, all of a sudden maybe their code is off. And is it okay not to mention that? Just little. They go through that in the movies too, right? So those fine little details, and that was kind of difficult.
I never really thought about that being something that you would have a consideration for to that level of detail in a book.
Yeah, it's there.
I mean, is this something? I mean, are you looking to do something more with this? Is this looking? And obviously, I know that's a huge step to become from a book to a movie. Just ask J.K. Rowling. But I mean, is that something that you would love to see a screenplay adapted for it?
Oh my gosh, that would be my dream. I mean, I've been told this would be a good movie. I think it would be a good movie. How to get there? Not really sure.
It's not very clear.
Yeah.
Writing the book is a little more clear than getting it on the screen.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's amazing. I've worked with the film festival in Annapolis for many years, and I think it's so funny that, and in the music industry as well, that bands and the creative types are not necessarily looking for record labels. Mm-hmm. They're not looking for big screen debuts. They're looking for syndication on YouTube.
Right.
Or Amazon, or any of these other, Netflix, any of these other streaming services. And I know there's plenty of bands that they don't write to do concerts, they don't write to do albums, They write to hope that their song will be picked up as a theme for the next Friends,
right?
Or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite interesting just the way the technology has changed. And certainly you mentioned KDP and Kindle Direct Publishing.
Yep.
I mean, that just makes it so simple to do.
It does. So the actual publishing part, comparatively, the publishing part, not hard. The marketing, that's the challenge. Going back to what you said, what's the most challenging? It was actually the marketing. So getting it out there. I mean, you're not going to search for this book unless you know about it. It's not just going to pop up in Amazon.
Right.
People don't go. I mean, I do, but most people don't go to bookstores and just kind of browse and say, "Oh, that looks neat." So
right, you read the flaps and
So if you're not a known author, so that's why I got Deloitte's Publishing involved to help with the marketing, because that's where that is the difficult part of this.
And it certainly is for somebody that has a job and another job and a college tuition to pay for and everything else. So it's I totally understand that.
Yes.
Is there another book in there?
I hope so. I have started it. I'm once again not really sure where it's going yet. But
is it a paranormal thriller?
It's. I want it to be a sequel. I mean, it's a sequel.
Okay.
So I really, going back to the characters, I really miss my characters. So I love my characters. I think that they are real people. I think about them all the time. So I think actors probably do that too. Once they get into a character, they can just love their character, even hate their character. I mean, not to say that my characters are not flawed, because 100% they are, but they just kind of became part of my family.
Well, we all are flawed. I mean,
yes.
So it's interesting. I mean, how you see and you get into the characters. Have you ever read a book, or perhaps in this book that you've written, Nightwalker, that you actually met somebody and go, "Oh, that's Anna," or "Oh, that's that's Tom," or
I don't know about met. The Tom is sort of based on Sherlock. Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock in a way. He's not him at all, but just sort of his pretentiousness, kind of his look, just kind of the typical British, uppity. Right. So Anna, I mean, I've maybe a conglomerate of people that I've known in the past. But not, I don't know anybody that I've actually met that is, this is 100% this character.
Right.
No.
Okay. Well, okay, so we know we can get Nightwalker on Amazon.com. We know we can go down to Old Box Books and get it there and get a cup of coffee there. We are here at Zoo Coffee, so that's what the grinding sound is that we heard in the background there. They're making some of their great coffee, but we love to come here, a local homegrown coffee shop. But what are you doing as far as you talk about the promotion and the marketing of the book is some of the difficult things? Is there anything local that we've got coming up?
Yes, so Art Farm, which I
love Art Farm, off of Chinkapin Round Road.
So great.
They're on what, Virginia? They're on one of the roads there. They're right off of Chinkapin Round Road.
Chinkapin, yeah.
Are they on Chinkapin?
They're on Chinkapin,
okay.
Yeah. They're great. Allison and Darren. Yeah, they're just awesome. Darren and I we both love Halloween, so we really hit it off. But we're having an event there on Thursday, October 24th from 7 to 9.
Ooh, just before Halloween.
Correct. It's going to be a spooky atmosphere. There's going to be a couple other authors as well, okay, and a couple of other vendors. So you all should definitely come on out. So we'll be selling our books there. I think it's about there's a donation at the door just for Art Farm, but it's not expensive.
Sure.
So that is coming up. And then in Rehoboth, I did this last year too, is the Sea Witch Festival, which is that weekend. I think that's the 26th, 27th.
Right.
Yep. So I'm doing book signing at Browse About Books there
That's
for
a fun
both
bookstore,
days.
too.
That's a great bookstore. And I did it last year, and it was a lot of fun. And if you've never been to the Sea Witch Festival, you should go, because I'm not one for parades, but the parade there is amazing. It's just a fun time in Rehoboth. It's pretty crowded though. So, but yeah, I will be signing. If you look at Browse About Books, their website, they'll give you the times.
The times and dates and everything else.
Yep.
Well, that sounds good. So we're looking for a sequel
Yes.
to Nightwalker. Do we have a title?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
In fact, this title came later. I was wrestling with titles, and I can't think my husband came up with it. He's usually really good at coming up with those types of things, titles. So it came after the book.
Well, I do suggest that we get down to Old Box Books and check it out. Buy it there. Get down to Art Farm locally here in Annapolis, or down to the Sea Witch Festival in Rehoboth. Yeah. Nightwalker. It is by Janice Coleman, and she is a local resident here. A first of many books, I think, probably.
I hope so.
But you can find out more information, and actually you can probably order it right off of your website too, can't you?
You can. There's a link to Amazon but
on
yes.
there. But you want to go to which is a trending topic today.
Yeah.
It's night-walker.weebly.com.
Yep.
So night-walker.weebly.com. You can find out some of the impetus behind the book, little excerpts of it and whatnot. And it looks like a fascinating book. I'm excited to read it. I do like the paranormal that intrigues me. So I appreciate your time today, and
thank you.
Good luck at the Sea Witch Festival and at Art Farm, and getting out of that writer's block for round 2.
Yes, thank you very much.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.